film. Heel uniek. We hebben de hand weten te leggen via het Televisie Research Center in Amsterdam op een aantal van dit soort films. Bijna cultuurmonumenten en niet alleen leuk om te zien, maar hebben ook een zekere culturele waarde. We gaan met iemand praten die een hele verzameling heeft. Een heel archief van dit soort materiaal. Videoarchieven. Misschien is het u opgevallen, maar de laatste tijd zijn er nog wel wat programma's op de televisie die laten zien hoe videoarchieven in elkaar zitten. We zien mensen die bijvoorbeeld in New York enorme archieven hebben opgebouwd van stukjes nieuws, van stukjes oude films, van materiaal wat heel vaak zogenaamd public domain materiaal is. Dat wil zeggen dat het eigenlijk vrij is, maar dat ergens in een archief zit en dat er wordt getoond om te laten zien hoe, noem maar wat, bepaalde stukken van de oorlog, historische evenementen, maar ook dingen als gewoon zwart-wit films uit de 20 jaar. U kent ze wel, die stomme filmperiode. Er is heel veel belangstelling voor dat soort materiaal. En nu blijkt dat we dat dus niet uit Amerika hoeven te halen, maar dat er ook in Amsterdam in ieder geval één bedrijf is wat zich bezighoudt met archiveren van oude films. En dat beschikbaar stellen aan de video-industrie en de televisie. We praten met Barry Noord van de Television Research
Center. Yes.
Research Center. You have a center in Amsterdam where you basically hold a lot of reels of old movies and old material.
Old news footage, industrials, educational films, old movies, and stuff. We have pieces in our archive that date back to the early 20s and pieces that were shot in color into the late 30s.
What is the value for the industry of this kind of material? I mean, why isn't it thrown away? Or
well, I guess ever since the first day of a piece of film being shot, it becomes a valuable commodity because from that point on it can be used as long as it stays a photographic image. As technology goes on, we're able to preserve each of these images by formatting it in a technology that's acceptable for that time. We've gone from film into kinescopes and now videotapes and digital videotape storage, where libraries can be stored in a very small area. A phenomenal amount of footage can be preserved with broadcast quality preservation available for people to edit and redistribute in programming that represents everything from the way things used to be to old films retitled for new generations.
Yeah, like children's films, but for instance, children seem to like these little bit of black and white comics, Abbott and Costello, that type of stuff.
We've all generations have grown up on it since movie theaters made it available and television brought it into our home. Mm-hmm. And it seems as though about every 10 years archival material seems to make the rounds around the world
and pop up, because lately we've seen it on even on Dutch television, that this guy in New York, what's his name?
Rick Prelinger from the Prelinger Archives.
He's a colleague of you. You do business with him?
Yes.
And he has also a large archive, and from which he takes excerpts and he shows them.
Yeah. Well, most of this material is used for industrial production of industrial films, or even Hollywood films. Take JFK, which was a film made by Oliver Stone, consisted of a lot of reenactments, but there was actual archival footage used in it that was in public domain, and he obtained it from the National Archives in the United States, which basically anybody has access to if they know how to weave their way through the system of research and archival access.
Because that is your specialty, that you have, in fact, thousands and thousands of reels, of these tins with film, of films that you didn't originally own the rights to, but because of all kinds of legal situations, it became in the public domain. And what does that mean?
Well, from the day a film is made, it is owned in that compilation of film cuts, actors, and audio, sound effects, and music. Over the years, the copyright laws have been extended in America now, but they originally started out as a 17-year copyright legality for you to own it. After 17 years, a certain percentage of this material falls out of copyright, and a certain percentage is recopywritten by family owner, and generations down the line. Eventually, somebody slips up. A piece may be distributed in Argentina, say, that is different from the original compilation, subtitled, edited differently, shorter version, different title perhaps, and nobody sees the significance of re-copywriting a claim on a Zorro film that was played in Argentina for 3 months.
So, through the holes in the system, here and there, stuff falls out. Now, so you are a commercial organization trying to preserve this archive, but isn't it like the role of the film museum or the government in some way or another to subsidize the existence of this? Because it's in a way a necessity for film and television makers to have access to these kind of libraries?
Absolutely, and I think that's where subsidies and assistance should come, is directly to the film people, the filmmakers, the broadcasters who need the material and need it at their access. And it's a very expensive commodity to have to go out and buy by the second and bring it from...
Yeah, because what I understand, if you go to the NOS or whatever, NOB these days, in Hilversum they charge you 800 guilders just to have the privilege to be able to come and look. And then they charge you for whatever you find and you want to use. A huge amount of money, so that for small filmmakers it's nearly impossible to obtain.
Impossible, right. You know, a student just out of the Film Academy who spent several years of his life and wants to work and wants to put together a demo reel of what he can do, or just wants to do a music video for someone or go to work for someone, needs to know how to use an archive and have to have had some kind of availability to this material. It's the obligation of the archive itself to make the material available to the children of your children. You know, we are here for only a short period of time to preserve it. Someone will eventually have an archive, my archive, and continue to run it. You know, it's started already.
It's a very specialized business in the world, or not?
Absolutely. There's only a few archives in each country, when it really comes down to it, that house the material. And there's very, very, very few that absolutely make it available for a reasonable cost. Archives, there's an archive in America that's run by a specific American Indian tribe, and it has one film in it. But that one film is in constant demand. Those cuts of those Indians, those short few minutes of this, that, or the other of those Indians are in need when someone needs authentic Indians from those tribes.
And the material you have is mostly from the beginning period of the movie, and when there must have been stuff in Europe, but your stuff is American. And
I mean, I've got films. I guess one of the films I have would be The Boy with Green Hair, which was a film made about the Eastern European children after World War II that was made by Howard Hughes and abandoned upon the day it was completed because of its political connotations. So Howard Hughes made a film, spent 5 years editing it, and decided he didn't want the film anymore, so never copyrighted it. It, in turn, fell into public domain, and several copies of it in different countries remained in public domain, while the copy that is presently being broadcast in America is owned by one of the major corporations, and it has been slightly re-edited so they can claim copyright on that broadcast material.
Because this is a whole legal structure, yes, whatever. Anyway, you have this material available, and we're going to show part of it, and you're working with Mr. Media to provide us with interesting material. Yeah. So we're talking with Barry Noord. We hebben gesproken met Barry Noord van de Television Research Center in Amsterdam, eerste Boerhavenstraat, over de archieven die hij heeft. Hij heeft een aantal rollen films. Het gaat om iets van 6000 rollen in Nederland en nog veel meer in Amerika. Met materiaal wat loopt van de 20 en 30 jaren, zwart-wit films. In de komende maanden gaan wij daar allerlei stukken van gebruiken. Op allerlei manieren. Bijvoorbeeld, we gaan wat stukjes, en dat zijn eigenlijk hele kleine stukjes, maar van wat langere films van Abbott en Costello gaan we laten zien. Daar hebben we wat titels bij gemaakt. Het zijn dus niet de complete films. Het zijn eigenlijk de persberichten die in die jaren als filmstukjes rondgestuurd werden om in cinema's te laten zien. Die kwamen in het public domain, zoals dat heet, zijn dus beschikbaar. Daar hebben we via Barry Noord de hand op weten te leggen en daar gaan we wat mee doen. Een van de dingen die we gaan doen is natuurlijk zelf er een muziekje achter zetten en wat teksten bij maken. Maar we zijn ook van plan dat op bijvoorbeeld het internet beschikbaar te gaan maken. Of als AVI's, dat zijn wat kleine formaatfiletjes op CD-ROMs. Met de bedoeling zodat weer meer mensen met dit materiaal kunnen experimenteren. Want het is natuurlijk heel leuk om bijvoorbeeld bij zo'n oude zwart-wit film uit de 20e jaren zelf leuke teksten te bedenken. Of zelf een soundtrack te maken. Dat wil zeggen de geluiden erbij te bedenken. Voetstappen, treinen, alles doen. En dat willen we eigenlijk toegankelijk maken. We willen dat materiaal op een bepaalde manier weer in het public domein sfeer brengen. En hopen dat daarmee ook de Amsterdamse televisiescène, de Amsterdamse filmmakers, wat meer begrip krijgen voor wat je met archiefmateriaal kunt doen. En ook dat je daarvoor dus helemaal niet naar Amerika hoeft, maar dat je gewoon hier in Amsterdam door een beetje te zoeken en te snuffelen hele leuke dingen kunt vinden. Bedankt, Barry Noord.
Thank you.
Amerikaanse comedy. Bud Abbott en Luc Costello. Twee klassieke figuren uit de Amerikaanse film. De stomme filmperiode in de 30er en het begin van de 40er jaren. Op deze compilatie laten we een aantal leuke fragmenten zien van Bud Abbott en Luc Costello en der klassieke lijn Who's on First? En dan hebben ze het over first base. Over wie staat er op het eerste honk. Heel veel echte Amerikaanse grappen en we hopen dat u zich amuseert met dit programma.